Let's talk about the best books I have read in 2025 so far. So my first quarterly favorite, top 5 plus one special mention. Kind of just a fun way to review all of these books, letting you know which ones were the best of the best, the ones you should add to your own TBR. So the special mention has to go to Sunrise on the Reaping, because come on, we were all excited for a new prequel for the Hunger Games, and it was so much fun. And I feel like it's one of those series that I've heard more and more critiques. And like, honestly, I don't even necessarily disagree, but it's one of those situations where I'm like, yes, but I don't really care. It doesn't really change my experience with the book. Like, yes, we kind of already knew what was going to happen. Yes, the writing is not necessarily complex, but I don't really read the Hunger Games for that. And yes, there was a little bit of fan service, fine, but I still had so much fun. I would find moments all the time to read it. Usually I'm like, oh, I'll read before bed kind of thing. But no, lunch, breakfast, dinner, anytime I had to wait in line somewhere, I was reading this book because I had a lot of fun. So I think I need probably to find more books like that, because it was something that I used to do a lot more. Maybe it's because it's like more why. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I loved it. Wanted to give it a shout out. It deserves the love. Now the actual top 5. So in no particular order, we're going to start with A Drop of Corruption, which just finally came out. This is an adult fantasy murder mystery series. It's just a mix that really works. Actually, out of the 6 books I have read by the author, there are 5 that are like that. He does it well, I enjoy it, and yeah. So the world building is pretty complex, but long story short, these people are under attack by these giant leviathans that attack them every year, and it's getting harder and harder, but they also rely on their blood to use their magic. So it's a weird situation, but as this is going on, you're following the story of this boy, young man, whose family is struggling financially. So he decides to become an assistant to this woman who solves murder mystery. I've been calling her like a magical Sherlock Holmes because she is a lot. So he uses the magical power that he has that is linked to scent. So he'll be able to remember everything as long as he associates it to a scent. So he goes on these scenes, murder scene, interrogate people, look around, remember everything, and goes back to her because she rarely leaves her room. She'll wear a blindfold. She has all these quirks and she will solve everything. There was a lot of political intrigue in book 1, but book 2 is like a lockroom murder mystery. So someone murdered a king and they were having tea in a room, so it has to be someone. So again, you're exploring the world a little bit more, exploring the characters a little bit more, and then there's this lockroom murder mystery. So it was, once again, kind of fun. Obviously, it's dark a lot, but I feel like it's not something I see often enough, and I've been going out of my way to find more and more, and I just really enjoyed that mix of like high fantasy and murder mystery. So if that's something you want to explore, A Tainted Cup was the first book, and then, you know, now we have the second book, A Drop of Corruption. I think there's at least one more, but the door is definitely open for this to be an ongoing series. Next, we have Witchcraft for We Were Girls, and actually I don't have basically any of these copies because I let my sister borrow them. She's the only one I trust to not destroy my books. I can't show you how thick this one is. It's definitely his longest book. I have read, I think, 5 of his books at this point, and I've enjoyed them so much. He writes horror, but like some of them have some social commentary that I really enjoy, and I just feel like a little sidetrack here, but this is his second book writing from the point of view of a bunch of teenage girls, and the bar is really low. I've been joking about it, but he doesn't go into misogyny. He doesn't mock them, which would be so easy, and I appreciate that. Anyway, storyline. This is set in the summer of 1970. A bunch of underage girls are pregnant and their families send them in shame to this home where they will be giving birth, and only then can they go back home and pretend nothing happened, as used to happen, and, you know, still very relevant. So you follow the story of this specific young girl, and she's left there by her father, and she will be subject to a lot of horrible stuff. And I think this would be a really good book actually to read in a book club if you want to discuss these topics that are as relevant as ever. And she's subjected like a lot of violence, like not necessarily like straight up violence, but like the fact that she's examined against her will, she will have to leave the baby against her will. Like there's so much going on. And these girls are obviously feeling a lot of rage and abandonment. And this woman that comes once in a while to bring them library books leaves to her a magical book, and it becomes more witchy, a bit of like female rage, revenge. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say I wish it had been more. Like it could have been more. That's all I'm going to say. But I appreciated how the actual horror feels very realistic. Again, it's the situation that is horrible. It's the fact that they are minor, they have no control over their own body, they have no say, and the men, because often it's adult men that will get these young underage girls pregnant, nothing happens to them. You know, there's a lot of social commentary through that. Again, I feel like it could have been a bit more, but overall I had a lot of fun. It's a very interesting topic, and I'm a big fan of witches. So I would recommend this one once again. I feel like buddy reading this would be, again, if I had my copy, I could show you how many post-its I put in there. So this was great, would recommend also. The only one I do have my copy of is this one. This is The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. This is the second book I finished by her, and like, spoiler alert, I just finished this one, different quarter, so it doesn't count for this video, but oh my gosh. So it makes this book actually my least favorite book by her. But that's because 3 books were amazing. She writes literary fiction with a hint of magical realism, which is really not my usual thing. And in this case, for example, the magical realism is the fact that some chapters are written from the point of view of a fig tree. A fig tree. Which sounds weird, but it works. Her writing is so beautiful. You know how I was saying The Hunger Games, like the writing, I'm not reading it for the prose. I'm reading her for the prose and for heartbreak. She's always writing these stories that are so painful and heart-wrenching, but I keep doing it because it's so good. Anyway, in this one, you have a few different timelines. So the present-ish time, you're following this young girl. Her mother passed away, and she's not super close to her dad. He's not really someone that talks much, and she just feels really a lot of rage, and she feels lost. And you're getting those flashbacks of how her parents met and ended up together, and they were from Cyprus, an island. They were very divided, different religion, and like there's just so much happening. But yes, very quotable in general, and she's just a fantastic author. Again, a new favorite author that I am looking forward to reading more. I mean, I couldn't wait, clearly, and I have more of her books on my shelves, so Elif Shafak, yes, absolutely must read. But do be prepared for the heartbreak every time. Now, the last 2 books are my 2 5-star so far of the year. Well, now there's a third one. But my 2 first 5-star of the year, I read them in the same reading vlog, which was my first reading vlog of the year. So it's been up and down, but I really enjoyed We Used to Live Here, which this book divides people, and I understand why. It's weird, but it just, you either love it or hate it. And clearly, I love it. 5-star. This is kind of sci-fi horror, and I feel like I've watched movies a lot more like that than read books. So if you have any recommendations, I am begging you. I am begging you. So you're following this couple, queer couple, that just bought this remote house in a mountain in the forest. And there's only one that is home at the moment. She's the one that is a bit of a people pleaser. And this man shows up at the house with his family and he's like, hey, I used to live here. Can we just look around? And she says yes, which in her shoes, this is where the story would end. I would say no. That's if I opened the door. So you start questioning her judgment a little bit, but things get weirder and weirder and weirder. And I loved every bit of it. It's the kind of book that you have to just go for it and like stop overthinking. It's just the vibes. But again, I was obsessed. I don't want to tell you anything because again, that would be a spoiler in my opinion. But it's again a book that I would recommend reading with other people because the theories you could come up with, I know there's like Reddit threads about it. I did not go there because I just enjoyed it. Once again, for the vibes. And I can spoil a bit more in the comment section if you want to know a bit more like what I mean by horror sci-fi, but I definitely had moments I was super uncomfortable. Like there were a few scenes in the basement, which again, I'm gonna keep it vague, automatically, creepy to me, automatically. So if you want something that leaves you with question, that you can have conversations with other people, if you want to feel uncomfortable, this would be a good one. I actually feel like a lot of the books in this video would be perfect for summer, fall. That's another one. Same thing with Witchcraft for girls, and the next one, Slooh Foot. This is another witchy book. Again, big fan of witches, but this is set in Puritan times, which they usually don't work for me, but this one did, because once again, we go back to female rage, female revenge, which love. So you have this woman, she just got married, she actually likes her husband, and he dies in mysterious circumstances. And they have their farm, so his brother decides, oh, it's now my farm. She says no, but in those times it was kind of, So she manages to make a deal that she can keep it if she can be, you know, successful during that summer. Obviously things get murky because the brother wants to get it back, blah, blah, blah. And maybe a deal with the devil. Maybe. I was enjoying the book, and then it gets really intense towards the end. And yeah, like I was saying, we're just going to keep it vague. Female rage. Revenge. It almost felt a little cozy at time, which don't quote me on that. This is just me being a bit weird. But the book contains also drawing in the middle, which again, I don't have my copy, but the author drew those characters, which I was really grateful for, because he makes descriptions. I was like, what do you mean? Like, this creature, is it a demon, whatever, in a form of a fish with a kid's face, a baby's face? And you're like, I do not have that much imagination, but yeah, it's in there. It's in there. So there's a bunch of characters like that. Also a goat, which, like, I feel like during those times, even I feel like now, people will draw demonic creatures in like the shape of a goat. And if you've ever met a goat, I feel like I get it. I think the pupil being like square really does it. Plus, like, they're cute, but at the same time, I get it. I get it. Any of you have goats? Because I feel like they're really cute, but at the same time. Anyway, these are the best books I have read so far this year. I feel like there are a few more that I did really enjoy, but I feel like these ones need to be read by more people. I feel like, once again, summer fall is approaching, and a lot of these would be perfect for that. I do feel reassured that more favorite books will be coming. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope you did enjoy it. I'll put more on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in my next one very soon. Bye.